Understanding budgeting, expenses, debt, saving, retirement, and how each of these work together and affect each other is important for laying the groundwork for a solid financial foundation for you and your family. So, with us today is our financial expert, Mike Semmon, with the Wisconsin Bankers Association, to offer some advice on understanding our own personal finances. And I think the first big point is a budget.
You
right,
bet.
Mike?
Well, you bet. We're starting a new year, so it's a great time to start to think about your personal finances. And the foundation of your personal finances is a budget. And the budget consists of really two things. You want to track your expenses, and you want to take a realistic look at what type of income you're going to have. How much do you make, and what are you going to spend?
Right. Pretty simple, but so important. And the next thing that's important is setting a goal for yourself.
Really, once you've come up with that tracking of the expenses and then also talking about your revenues, you want to take a look at what do you want to accomplish? What values are you going to take a look at and start to move forward and setting those goals. You don't want to make them too big. This is not a Donald Trump-like goal situation. You want to take a look and set realistic goals so that you can provide safety, security, then start to move on to some of the bigger things.
And you talked a little bit there about expenses, and so when you have that budget, you want to look at point number 3, where you can cut some of those expenses of yours.
Absolutely. You set the first 2 items in place, and then you take a look at it, and maybe not so much as thinking about cutting, but maybe thinking about kind of reevaluating and moving over. You want to think about this in terms of a positive change for what you're going to be doing over the course of the year. So instead of saying, I'm going to cut over here, I'm going to plan to put more money in maybe into savings or more money into a college tuition plan.
I know I brew my own coffee, and that saves me a lot of money. We got 1 minute left. So there's good and bad debt. Briefly talk about good debt and then why it's important to get out of bad debt.
Absolutely. Well, my grandfather used to say all debt's bad debt. But when you take a look at what's going on now, you take a look at maybe your home mortgage, assets that might appreciate in value, considering the home mortgage rates are so low. If an asset's going to appreciate in value, maybe that debt might be good debt. Bad debt, take a look at the credit cards and the interest rates, and it might be a very high interest rate. You want to try and eliminate those as soon as possible.
Yeah, some of those can be 40% or, you know, that just piles on, so you really have to look at that. The final point that's so important is saving for retirement.
Right. Whether you're 22 or 62, what you want to do is consider the concept of paying yourself first when you're talking about a budget. And one of the ways that you can do that is through maybe a retirement plan through your office, through the corporation that you work. But even if you don't have one, you want to pay yourself first. Start to think about planning for retirement. Saving early will save you so much time, and it will build over the course of the long run.
Yeah, and you're lucky if your employer has a matching 401k contribution. That's always great.
Exactly.
Right? Mike Semmon, Wisconsin Bankers Association. Great to have you here. Thanks
for being
with us with such great advice. We'll be right back with a final look at the forecast after this.